And welcome into RedRaiders.com. This is the AJ Media pregame show. I'm Shannon. This is Zach previewing Tech in Kansas State this Saturday from Manhattan, Kansas.
Yeah, it should be a good environment up there, Shannon. A tough game for Texas Tech. Kansas State's a very disciplined football team, and Tech is not a very disciplined football team right now. Going to be a tough place to win, but if you can win up there, you can turn your season around. So a very important game for both Texas Tech and Kansas State.
Now, Tech shows signs of life in the last game.
They really did. I know they lost the game, and of course you would rather win, but early on, this football team looked like a team that we thought they could be. The offense drove the ball really fast down the field and scored against Oklahoma State, and the defense got some stops as well. J.J. Gaines with a big interception. They looked like a team that could win some football games the rest of the season. Unfortunately, they just got burnt on some deep passes from Dax Garman, and they committed a lot of stupid penalties. Those two things aside, Texas Tech looked like a team that maybe gives people a little hope here. If they can fix a few things, I think Tech can be competitive and win some more football games.
Now, Zach, let's give your 3 keys to the game for Texas Tech.
Number one, I think everyone can guess what this is. Penalties. Quit taking points off the board, especially. Those are things you cannot afford to do against Kansas State. They've made a living off of other people making mistakes and capitalizing off of them. Last week in Oklahoma State, you wipe off a kick return for a touchdown. That is things you just cannot do. You put that in there, that's a 3-point game then at the end of the game, and if you get one of those Dax Garman passes deflected, Texas Tech could have easily won in Stillwater, but 158 yards in penalties you cannot do. This week, limit them. Don't end offensive drives. Don't take points off the board, and that will be a huge step forward for the Red Raiders.
And what's another key?
Keep Kansas State's defense off balance. A very disciplined group, of course. Ryan Mueller, which we've spoke at lengths about how good that kid is. He wrecked Texas Tech last year. 3 sacks against their quarterbacks, and that's a guy they got to contain. I think Tech's got to just do what they do best, which is mix up their offense, keep Kansas State off balance, use the running game. The Red Raiders have had a nice running game this year. Use the short passing game, mix in the intermediate routes, and if Tech does what they want to offensively, I have no doubt they can score a lot of points on Kansas State.
And now, hope is not lost for Texas Tech. Is there some hope?
There is a lot of hope, and this week it's been kind of tough. Around the football facility, they're sick of losing. They do not want to do that, and they know this team is better. They just got to stop making mistakes. But I'm going to tell you what, I took a lot of hope from this week was Mike Smith. Texas Tech's new defensive coordinator is a gentleman who just has things figured out. He's a person you like to listen to, and he might be the perfect remedy right now for what Texas Tech needs. And I think one of the biggest important things about Mike Smith is his NFL mentality, and he talked about it this week. He doesn't expect the world out of his kids. He expects them to do what they're asked to do. Take care of business in the classroom, be a good citizen, and then do the things that you're asked to do on a football field to be part of a team. And in the NFL, if you don't do those things, you know what happens, Shannon? You're gone. They'll cut you. They'll fire you as a coach. They have other players they can bring up, and that is the mentality that Mike Smith has put in with his football team, and that might be perfect right now because on the other side, he's a very caring individual that is really going to raise the spirit of his players, and he talked about it. You can't yell at them all day. It just doesn't work with kids today, and the way the society has worked out, you have to be able to speak to them like adults and get those results that way. And I think right now that's just the perfect message for Texas Tech. They know he's all business, and they know he'll make a move and put other players in there if they don't do their jobs, but he's also someone that's going to show them love and respect them like an adult. And right now I think that might be the perfect remedy for Texas Tech, and I do have a lot of hope for them going through the rest of the season if they let Mike Smith do his job.
Now, Zach, let's pick the game.
Based on the last 2 weeks, it's really not a tough pick. You got to go with Kansas State. But I do think Texas Tech can be competitive in this football game if they can just knock down the penalties, get rid of the 15-yard variety. Those are the personal ones that really kill you, and the kids have said that this week. They know it's their fault. They don't want it blamed on the coaching staff. They as individuals have to choose to get mad and not like the results of what the season's doing right now and say, I'm not going to commit those mistakes. And if they do that, I think Texas Tech can move the ball on Kansas State. I think they can be highly successful. I'm just worried right now that they can't fix every issue they need to fix. Jake Waters and that offense is very good for the Wildcats. Just a disciplined football team. Bill Snyder can capitalize well. You're not going to outcoach him. I can promise you that. And I think at the end of the day, Texas Tech's going to have to play flawless to beat Kansas State. I just don't see that happening. I think K-State will get its yards and get its points where it needs to through its traditional means. 42-31 Kansas State.
And I'm going to have to agree with you. I'll say 45-31 Kansas State. Let's hope that we're wrong.
At some point, Tech is going to click, folks. That is just the point of it. You saw it last week early in that Oklahoma State game, and Don Williams and I were talking about this last night. Tech's going to win some games, and they're going to pop someone they're not supposed to. You're just waiting for that moment when it all clicks together. And Bill Snyder, he said it this week. He knows Cliff Kingsbury and that offense can move the football at will when they want to. You just hope that moment comes sooner than later.
Exactly. And we'll have more coverage coming to you from Manhattan, but for now we're going to bid you farewell. This is Zach, I'm Shannon, and you are on RedRaiders.com.